Hello everyone, Jose Ignacio here. Now, we've been talking about businesses for a bit, and today's business flow is about a digital marketing consultancy firm called Marku with two O's, because a lot of companies have O's in their name. Now, this one is located in SF, San Francisco. They serve the Bay Area, and their mission is to combine creativity and technical expertise to create result-driven experiences for all of their customers. Now, project management is at the heart of their core business. This includes keeping track of working times and eventual extra costs, because every company has extra costs. Now here, we see a summary of the applications and the processes that Marku follows in Odoo. So, enough chit chat as I always say. Let's start with the basics, projects. Alright, Odooers, so here we have an overview of all of our projects on this Odoo database. Now we can prioritize a project or a task by clicking on the star icon that we have right here. Doing so allows us to prioritize it. And on that note, did you know that we can also color code these projects? And all we have to do is click on these three little dots, select our favorite color, like a nice orange, just to represent an orange. And on top of that, you'll also even notice that we know how many tasks are in here. Now, the number of project tasks is listed in the lower left corner of the project cards. Now, I'm going to click into this project right here, the 1-year Digi campaign. Now, inside of here, you can see many tasks that are assigned to different people. We also have a couple that aren't assigned to anyone, and you can tell that by looking towards this little bubble right there. This one's empty, and a couple others are too. Now, you'll notice that there are different stages that the various tasks are located within. These stages are analysis, planning, progress, etc., etc. Now, did you know that these can be customized to fit your business processes? You just select this little gear up here, edit this stage. Boom, we can change the name, give it a template, notifications, is it folded? What projects does it follow? The list is absolutely endless, Odooers. Now, our tasks can be easily moved from one stage to the next by actually just dragging them, such as competitor keywords. Boom. And back over here. Now, I want to make a quick note because you notice these were super easy to move back and forth as they are completed or move on to the next stage. But did you notice that at the top of each stage, we also had some colors change? Well, these are very colorful progress bars, which tells us how many tasks are in progress, ready, or blocked. Now, each task card itself has a little status marker that we can change. If you select a circle and you block it for whatever reason, or actually, let's not do that one. Let's do this one. And we block it. You'll notice instantly we have this feedback up here that tells us what happens. Now, from this view, if we say select the ones that are in progress, only shows us the ones in progress. Deselecting it does that. Now, only the blocked one. And what I like personally is that when I select these, the nice little color changes. Gives me a nice green to let me know I'm good to go and it's ready. And those are the little things that I like a lot. And that's really convenient. Now, on that note, an activity as well can be scheduled from the view by clicking on this little clock icon that we have up here. You'll notice this one already has one, so we're going to give one to this one. Schedule an activity to do. In our case, let's give it a summary. Discuss stuff, because that's what important people do. And we got to give it something else in here, or we could just leave it like that. In our case, we're going to do that and schedule it for the 12th. Why? Because dates are arbitrary and it does not matter when this is scheduled in my fictional company. Now I'm going to click on the task that is labeled Facebook content. Perfect. Beautiful. Now inside of this time machine, we can easily edit the description, for example. And in our case, let's change ours. What is Facebook content? How about focus on visuals, please? And we're done. That's perfect. Now, we also have a few tabs with different information. Now, let's click on the Timesheets tab. Boom, look at that. Wow, my employees are actually really hard at work, but you'll notice we don't see Steve. But if we wanted to, we can actually add him in here and search for him. But we're not going to do that right now because that's saving him time. Now, at the very top of this, we have how many hours have been planned for this task. Now, directly below that is the actual hours that were spent by the employees. And then if you notice at the bottom right, we can actually tally the hours spent and finally the remaining hours as well. And look at that. We have a progress bar up here towards the top. And we can even have a deadline set up as well. We have so many options over here. And speaking of options, if you veer over here to the right, you will notice It's the chatter, which can be seen throughout many Odoo records. Now through here, we can send a message to followers on this record, or we can even log a note so that I can tag another user on the database. I'm going to show you that real quick. We're going to tag Jeffrey. We're going to tell him, great work. And we're going to do this as a message because we want everyone to know, including our client, that this person is doing great. If we wanted this to be internal, we would just select log note. And now only he would see this. Only you can see this. But what if I said that Jeffrey isn't the only one who can see this? Did you know other people can also see this who will happen to be followers on this record? And we could log a note and tag another person on the database as well. And I'm going to show you one more thing right now, Odooers. Now, what I wanted to show you real quick is that another user can simply click on my icon inside of the chatter, which is this little bubble. And would you look at that? A DM window will open. Now with Odoo, you can communicate in a variety of ways with customers and employees. And it's as simple as literally clicking a picture, and then we can just send emojis, memes, the works, business information. All right, let's jump on down to a few last items that I'd like to showcase on this project task. Now there are a few other tabs that you might have noticed. In our case, we are inside of subtasks. Now here we have a couple that are already listed, and new ones can easily be added by selecting the add a line over here. Now keep in mind that these child tasks will be visible from the main Kanban view. And what does that mean, Jose Ignacio? Well, see this one that says Facebook content child task? Well, if we click back over here on the Digi campaign, boom, right there, Facebook content child task. Sorry about that, Odoopsie. All right, moving on. We're over here on the block by tab. Now the next tab we have here is the block tab. Now this tab lists any tasks that this task depends on. Now these listed tasks must be completed first before you can actually move on and mark this task as ready. Now this dependency feature is activated in the project app settings. Once that you have some that are listed here, you will notice a new blocking smart button in the top right corner over here that will appear. And that one will tell you how many tasks are waiting on this task to be completed. And that's pretty useful. And up last, we're going to finally talk about the Recurrent tab. And we're going to check this Recurrent one. Now, you'll see what that did. In this case, we can actually set a recurring interval for this task. And if you save it, it'll basically reoccur it. And it'll tell you when it's going to be created with a couple dates listed in the future. And as you can see, it's super simple and intuitive to manage your tasks and communicate within a project with your stakeholders. Now, consulting businesses usually start their processes with a quotation and a contract, and I'm going to show you what that means. Now, in our case, the quotation estimates the cost, and the contract encompasses the project scope, including those payment terms, Odooers. Now, this is what Marku does, and they choose to have a project and tasks automatically created for them whenever a sales order is confirmed within Odoo. And I'm going to show you what that basically means. All right, Odooers, so we're going to head on inside of our sales application, and we're going to make a new quotation. Now, this is going to go out to our customer, Azure Interior, and they want to strategize. The very first thing that they need is our digital strategist package, and they want us to help them with analysis. And they've actually told us we are so good they need 5 hours. No, they need 5 days of our help. And we're going to do another one of those. They really need our help. So they need analysis. They also need some planning as well. And we're going to repeat that again. We're going to give them 5 days again, just because we're that generous. But I've just got word. We also need some help with growth marketing. So we're going to add that in here as well. And it's got to have something here for the description. In our case, we're going to list this one as soft launch, where we will definitely need growth. And in this case, this one actually is going to take a bit. So we're going to put this one at 16 days. Now, if you noticed, I was able to change a few things. I was able to, 1, sell a service, and 2, I was also supposed to give a description for each one. We could sell the same service and give it a different description as well as time and different units of measure, whether it's days or hours. You decide, Odooers. Now, I can send this quotation to my customer by either clicking send by email, and they can then confirm the order in the customer portal, or I can confirm the order manually by clicking on confirm. Let's say we've sent the quotation to the customer through email and they've approved it. Now it's time to record time working on this actual task. So we're actually going to confirm this right now because they already did it for us. Now I can actually click on the project smart button to view the project and the task created for the sales order, or I can check it out in the project app. For parity's sake, I am actually going to show you both. So selecting the project takes us over here, but typing in project, boom. And once that we're over here, you'll notice something. Here it is, our sales order. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to go over is the projects app, which we are inside of right now. This is the project that was automatically created. Now, as you can see, each service product from our sales order is a task with the product's description as the task name. I set the quantities in days, but Odoo automatically converted them to hours for me on each task, as you could tell with the 128, which is hours, 40, which is hours. Now, why is it that number? Well, essentially, Odoo isn't counting 24 hours in a day. It's counting the 8 working hours times 5 in this case for the planning and the analysis. But let's open up one of these. We're going to open up planning. All right, now here inside of the Timesheets app, we can actually technically add a line and select how much time an employee, worked on this. I can actually even change the employees if I wanted to. But for now, I'd like to steal all of the credits. So we're going to say stealing credits because that's how we do this. And we're going to type in 5 hours because we want a lunch. Now, that's one way to add time, but I'm going to show you another way. And it's actually pretty intuitive. Essentially, all I do is go up here and hit starts. And now we quietly wait and solemnly think about our day. All right, that's too much thinking now. Now, once that we're done, we can also pause it. Let's say we went to the bathroom and then we resume it. Let's say we're back. And then once that we're done, we can stop it. And look at that, it records it. Now you'll notice, since I spent less time over here, it's essentially converting it. Because remember, Odoo works in hours. And in our case, it can round it up over here. Give it a description. Stealing time again. Save it up. Boom. Perfect. And now it's done and saved over here. Now let's click on the sales order smart button. Because that allows us to jump directly back over here. And look at that, Odooers. We can see the time we recorded already in the delivered quantities of the sales order. If the delivered column doesn't appear, by the way, click on these dots over here. And would you look at that? You can find them now. Perfect. Beautiful. And that's just in case they aren't visible to you. Now, even though the timesheets are recorded in hours, Odoo automatically converts the hours to days first on the sales order because if you recall, that's what we set them up as for the units of measure. We can also see the quantities in blue, which indicates that the order line can be invoiced to the customer directly now. And isn't that perfect? All right, so we just intuitively saw how Marku employees could easily record the time they spend on task. But since people usually manage many different projects at the same time, it can become difficult to make sure hours are being recorded correctly for each project. It can also be hard to ensure that overloading isn't happening. So to take care of that, everyone at Marku takes a closer and wider look at the recorded times at the end of each day. I'm going to show you what that looks like just as well. All right, Odooers, so we're actually going to head inside of the Timesheets application. Now in here, we can adjust and add hours through, the Timesheets app. Now, I'm going to add some time to my task that we did earlier, which is the planning. Now, we head on over here, intuitively do the date. And let's say in this case, we wanted it to be the full 8 hours. Beautiful. Then once we're done, we just click out of there. Boom. That's it. That's how easy it was. Now, what if I told you we can even use hotkeys or letter shortcuts to start the timer for a task? It's really as simple as typing the letter associated with the task on this list and then pressing the enter key to stop. So we're going to type it in. And would you look at that? Just like that, by hitting the A, as we saw over here, it starts it. We can also click it to stop it, select stop there, or shortcut, enter key. Boom. And that was it. And you notice it added 15 seconds right there. Beautiful. Well, 15 minutes in this case. But you get it. Anyways, let's get out of here. And we're going to go back over here to the sales application. And when we click in here to our Azure interior order, you'll notice that all the hours have been automatically recorded on the sales order based on the times I clocked in the Timesheets app. Now you'll see it's 1 day already because I clocked in 8 hours and then 0.03 because of those 15 minutes right there. Amazing, Odooers. So some companies add additional costs to their invoices. Now these could be for a number of reasons such as transportation or accommodations. In our case, let's assume that we have some sort of expenses. So if we go to the expenses app, as we have over here, we can actually see how Marku employees do it. Now they use it, for example, actually on their smartphones, which makes their lives super easy when they need to submit an expense for an on-site visit they made. No one always has access to a laptop, but everyone always has a phone. It's beautiful. Now, all they have to do is essentially take a picture of the receipt, and Odoo will scan and extract the information from it automatically. Now, keep in mind that the in-app purchase tokens are needed to perform this process. Odoo also has the option to create an expense report manually as well. And I'm going to show you how to do that manually. All right, so head on over to the expenses app and create new. Over here, we're going to give it a name. So we're going to select transport. And for this category, we do not want that one. We want transportation. Perfect. And then we list our total. In our case, it's pretty expensive Uber over there. So it was $200. And now we select our appropriate employee. In our case, it's going to be me. And we want it reimbursed because I paid ahead of time. And for our customer to re-invoice, which is over here, we're basically going to select the sales order that we just had because we want to charge them because I had to get to them. And now once that you finish all that, you'll notice it asks you for something. It asks you for a receipt. So once that we have that, we go into our little downloads and we basically put our gas receipt there. After a few seconds, you'll notice it pops up. Now that we have all the expenses listed, we can create the report and submit it to the manager. And isn't that perfect? So we're going to click create a report and that's it. Submit to manager. Boom. And now as the manager, I will approve it because I have the power. And then I'm going to post the journal entries. And I'm going to register the payment and we're going to create the payment. And we have just moved through that. Look at that. We're everywhere in here. It's approved. It's gone through everything and it's registered in green. And that was very fast and easy. All right. So once the project is finished, Marku invoices the customer with the exact hours spent on the tasks, plus any other expenses that I might find along the way. Now, Odoo keeps track of all of this and records it for us on the sales order. So let's jump back on over to our sales app and go directly over to it. Now, once that we head in there, I have some stuff to show you now. And boom, although we haven't completed all of the hours that need to be logged, we still have some that we can invoice for, as you can see with the blue markers over here. So when we are ready to invoice, we can click on Create Invoice up here. And in our case, I want to show you everything perfect. Now, once that it's done, you could either do a regular invoice, down payment, with a percentage in our case, or fixed amount as well. And you can even have a timesheet period. So there's a lot of options that we have. Now that said, some companies would rather invoice customers at different times, like at the end of each month, for example. We can actually do that in batches. So I'm going to show you how we do that. So we're going to click on, in our case, we're going to select on to invoice up here. And once that we're inside of there, we're going to click on what? Orders to invoice. Perfect. Now we can see that we have a few orders to invoice. Now I'm going to select and check the boxes next to the ones that we've done. In our case, it's that one. And then once we're done, well, you can also select this up here, but now I have to redo that, Odooer. So we're going to just select these two over here because I don't want to go too far into this right now. And then we're going to go over to action, create invoices. And finally, we're going to hit create and view. And would you look at that, Odooers? Boom. Everything is there. And if I wanted to, on top of all of these things, we can also send and print these as well if we really wanted to. And you can even select them again, register payments, or do a few other things. And there's our printing that we talked about if you need it. We also have the option for Odoo to send it by post. And that's if you need to send it, through mail. And that will end up requiring an in-app purchase token as well. In our case, however, we would actually just like to send it as it is. And we're going to focus on the one that we've been working on. So for ours, back inside of the sales order, we can actually just send it by email. And we're going to essentially just use the one that's already provided to us by Odoo. And everything looks pretty good on it. And we're going to go ahead, hit send. And just like that, if you look over to the chatter, we even have it logged over here to let us know, hey, you sent this, and it's an exact copy over there. And with just a few minutes, we saw exactly how Marku works, quickly, easily, and more efficiently with Odoo. So let's do a quick recap. First, they create an SO with an estimation of the hours for each task. Once the SO is confirmed, a specific project and task are automatically created. And then at that point, they can start working, making sure to record the exact time spent on each task, which is then automatically recorded on the sales order, as well as any other expenses involved in the project. Now, once the project is completed, the accounting department issues the invoice and continues the payment follow-up. And that's a pretty simple flow right there. So how is this flow possible? Well, let's start by talking about the services and the configuration behind each one. So in our case, once again, inside of the sales app, we're going to go over here to products, and you want to look for that digital one. In our case, our service. Now, how does it work? Well, for the flow to be possible, the digital strategist is a service product type over here and is invoiced based on timesheets, as we talked about earlier with logging in your time. Now, for every confirmed sales order, a project and a corresponding task are created in the project app, since we set over here the create on order field to project and task. Now, which one does it select though? Well, we can also select a project template, which appears when you select this option. And in our case, we could use the sales order, we can create our own or use something else. If we select the sales order one, I could show you something else. Now, if we go in here to its settings, we can see that in our case, it is set to auto generate tasks, and it's billable and logs time on timesheets. Now, these are very important. Now, up next, I need to show you how expenses work. So if we go into expenses, follow along, configuration, and in our case, our expense categories. Now, if we go back to the one that we used, which was what? It was transportation. Inside of here is the expense category. They were created for expenses that are based on transportation. Marku chooses to re-invoice expenses to the customer, which in this case are at cost. They could just as easily choose to re-invoice that expense based on a fixed sales price by setting it to a fixed sales price here using this little bubble. Or they can choose not to re-invoice the expense at all. Now, we just saw how different departments can easily communicate with one another and how efficient project management can be with Odoo. Now, thank you for watching, and don't forget to watch the rest of our e-learning videos that could have to do with some of these individual apps, and be on the lookout. I'm trying to do more of these business flows, and I hope they help you see a more advanced inside look at how specific industries will use Odoo. And as always, remember, I love you all. Thank you for watching, and go grab a snack. This one was especially long, so pat yourself on the back if you stayed this long.